So about a week ago, I went to go see Killing of a Sacred Deer, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, and he is the guy who directed The Lobster, and this stars Colin Farrell and Nicole Kidman, and it takes place in modern-day Cincinnati, Ohio, in which a doctor played by, Colin Farrell is a very successful surgeon, and he lives, a pretty good life with his family, with his wife Nicole Kidman and his kids, but then a kid who is the son of a former patient of Farrell's, decides to hang out with Farrell a lot of times, and he wants to curse the family with some sort of disease after a surgery gone wrong with his father, and it's about the details of that disease with the family and what happens to try to get it fixed. Now, this is a very dark, very disturbing film, and it's also pretty comedic at times too. Again, this is not an outright comedy, but this is like a very black comedy, but mostly psychological drama, and I think this is easily one of the best films of the year. Now, first of all, if you haven't seen Yorgos Lanthimos' previous film, The Lobster, you should really go check it out. I highly recommend it, but it'll really make sense for a lot of this movie. Now, you don't need to see The Lobster in order to get this movie, but I'm just saying for the style and the way this movie's presented is a lot like The Lobster. The very, monotone dialogue, the very, the way they portray violence in this movie is intense, but it's also not too disturbing in a sense. It's not overly gory. A lot of the movie's psychological. Not a lot of jump scares occur throughout The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and it's based on an old, Greek myth. And this movie, to say the least, really opened my eyes about what can happen when you screw up on a certain surgery. The acting in this movie is absolutely fantastic. The performances by Colin Farrell and Nicole Kidman really are some of the best of their careers. Now, while the dialogue and their presentation may seem like they're robotic and one-dimensional, there is a purpose to this. It's kind of to highlight, how, emotion really doesn't mean anything. It's just the actions of the characters that really do mean something. And I just, it's kind of almost, a parody of, how everything's supposed to be normal and cheery and how characters would normally react to a situation. It's just, like words really do matter. It's like no dialogue ever in this movie is wasted. And neither is the scenery in this movie. It's like very, open in a sense. Like you think they're going to show a lot in it, but in reality, they really just show what's really necessary. And it feels very almost spooky in a sense, how open and how very airy it is throughout the entire film. I know I'm being very vague on Killing of a Sacred Deer, but believe me, the less you know about the story, the better. So yeah, also the score in this movie, while it is rare at times, it is very, to the ears. Like, what I mean by that, I mean it'll just blast it and it'll just make you feel shooken at many points throughout the film. So I'm giving this definitely a 10 out of 10. I wish I could say more about this movie, but at that point it would get into spoiler territory, and I really don't want to spoil this movie for anyone who hasn't seen it or who wants to see it. So please go check this out. I highly recommend you do. This is easily one of the most original films of the year. And so, yeah. So Telegram is where I sign off, and I'll see you people around. Bye.